Hello, thank you all for tuning in. I'm Selena Marche, and this is You Plus Happy. Every other Tuesday, I bring you someone who challenges us to define happiness and success on their own terms with a dose of laughter. Remember to subscribe. I say it every week, y'all. Subscribe to the You Plus Happy podcast. Get your friends to subscribe. Tell everybody. And then follow us on Instagram at You Plus Happy. With your support, the show gets better and better and better. This week, we have Courtney Sillah, that's it, yes. Who is an intuitive coach, learning consultant, and the host of the Unhappy Teacher podcast with over a decade in education. She guides individuals through healing, self-discovery, and transformation using mindfulness, journaling, and somatic practices. After overcoming burnout, she pivoted from her teaching career to help others rediscover their purpose and navigate life's complexities. Courtney is also the author of The Voice, Never Use Journal, a tool for personal growth and empowerment. As a passionate advocate for education reform, she combines her diverse experiences to inspire resilience and meaningful change in both personal and professional lives. Welcome to the show, Courtney. Woo! We'll have her contact information in the show notes, and we'll say it at the end. I'm loud. Don't clap no more. Okay, it's talking to the producer, y'all.
You got my bangles going over here.
They're in my ear. You have to lower my voice. And your website is Sillahcourtney Courtney Sillah. Okay, yep. I'm looking at the email. Okay. All right, we're jumping right in. How did you get started?
Well, how did I get started with what? Because, I have a lot of labels there.
Yes. So. Well, there's a lot I want to talk to you about. I really want to talk about this burnout. But to get to the burnout, well, you were teaching first. And this is not a new story of teachers feeling burnt out.
Exactly.
So what made you want to be a teacher?
So that's funny. I never wanted to be a teacher.
Okay.
That was not something I kind of grew up talking about. Like, I want to be a teacher. Yeah. Like my first love, my passion is dance.
Okay.
And so, I was like, I'm going to be a dancer. Yep, I want to be Beyonce's backup dancer. That was my goal, my dream. And then, as you go through life, you got to pick a major, right? Yes. So I said, okay, well, I'll do television broadcast. I wanted to be a host. Believe it or not, I wanted to be a television host as well. Okay. So I went through that, went through college. I was still able to dance. So again, teaching was nowhere ever there.
Okay.
So after undergrad, now you're out in the real world, right? They throw you out there and say, figure it out. And so after going through, interview and this and that, I wasn't really landing those production jobs. But what I was doing was I was landing jobs working with children all the time. Whether it was after school programs, I did a lot of dance teaching, and so that was kind of how I was introduced into the school setting because I was teaching within a public school and a charter school.
Okay.
And so again, now I'm like, okay, well, what's life? What's going to happen? Like, what am I doing? I wanted more. I wanted to travel, and so there was an opportunity for me to actually travel to South Korea. Wow. And I went there to teach English. Okay. Now, no, I knew no Korean. I didn't know Koreans. I didn't know anyone over there at all. But it was an opportunity where they just was looking for native English speakers, take a certificate, get some TEFL course skills, and so I did that. And that's when I first was introduced to teaching.
Okay. How long did you teach?
Well, I started out 1 year there.
1 year?
One in South Korea.
Did you stay for the whole year?
So no. So I stayed for the whole year.
Okay.
And then now you can renew or you can leave. And so now I'm like, what am I going to do with my life? Am I going back home? I'm originally from New York. Am I going back home to New York? Am I going to stay there? What am I going to do? And so I said, okay, Lord, I'm going to apply to be a teacher because everyone kept saying, you're so good at it. You've done it before. And my mom always wanted me to be a teacher. And I just kept telling her, no. So eventually I feel like I gave in. I said, well, let me just explore what's happening. And so that's what I did.
How it happened.
That's what I did.
You came back here and taught?
And so literally the night that I was flying to come back to the U.S., I got a call from Georgia State University. I got the email to come and interview for their program.
Okay.
So basically I came to Atlanta to get my master's in early childhood education, and that began my teaching career here in Atlanta. And I taught here for about 11 years.
Wow, it's a long time.
Yeah.
Do you I know you probably don't regret it, but do you wish you had done something different than teaching?
No, because I honestly believe it brought me to where I am today.
Right.
Like I couldn't see if you would ask me through the years, like should I have been doing something else?
Yeah.
No, because I believe it or not, I actually still got to teach dance. I started teaching dance to the students at my school. They didn't have a dance program there. From there, I realized, oh man, I'm going to open up my dance studio. So I actually was a teacher as well as an entrepreneur. I opened up a dance studio and had a dance studio for about 5 years before I had to close that as well.
Okay. What popped in my brain was, and this is not, it doesn't sound like your experience, but like not listening to what other people tell me to do.
Yeah.
And I had to learn that the hard way, but it's like, no, I know what's best for me, even though that's like well-meaning people.
Yeah.
But it's like, I know I have to listen to myself and not anybody else around me, no matter how much they're rooting for me or whatever. Because I did that. And it took me off my path. But anyways, burnout. I feel like we talk about this a lot. It's like a buzzword, but it's so important. How did you know you were experiencing burnout? Because sometimes we think we're just stressed. We don't know what's going on. How did you know it was like?
I knew it was getting beyond stress because I couldn't think. I did not. I like literally had like that brain fog. Like my thoughts just started to feel like they weren't my own. My body, I just being unhappy. All of those things where it's like, okay, I can navigate stress, but this feels like something different where the tools I'm used to doing is not working. And so I did a lot of work within myself, just trying to figure out, okay, well, what is it about teaching? What's burning you out particularly? Do you not like the students? Do you not like the school? Like, what is it? So I left one school to go to a new school and actually shift grades. I went from teaching 4th grade elementary to going to middle school.
Okay.
Big shift. But there, I also said to myself, if I back up a little bit, during that time, I became a new mom.
Okay.
I closed my dance studio and told my husband for this 1 year, I need to not focus on anything else. Don't let me come with no more ideas, no more, nothing. I just want to go to work and come home. Let me focus on teaching and figuring out what is it that's bothering me. And so I went in intentionally with like, okay, I'm just going to focus on teaching. I'm not trying to dibble and dabble, do a little studio here, do a little side. No, none of that. And so as I was doing it, I started to realize like, man, it's not me. I know what I'm doing. It's the system. It's stuff in here that they're like making me do or force feeding me to believe or see. And I'm just like, but no, I know my students best. I know how to reach them best, but everything is really about data and the test. And I just couldn't get with it no more. And so I was actually on a leadership track. By now, I would have been a principal, most of my peers would think, but I just knew it wasn't for me. So it goes back to how you said, when people kind of throw things on you. From the time I entered education, everyone kept trying to be a principal on me. Oh, you need to be a leader, you need to be that. And I wasn't thinking that. I was like, I'm just trying to teach a little bit. Then maybe go back out there in the world, And so I went and started my leadership courses. I was like, I'm going to get my doctorates. But then I had that check. I had a check. It was either I'm going to put this on my next semester or I'm going to open my dance studio. And I went and opened my dance studio.
Okay.
And then come around again, dance studios closed. People like, oh man, you should get into this program. They're ready to write me recommendations.
Right.
But I said, no, not yet. Not yet. I kept trying to push back and I didn't know what it was that was stopping me.
Yeah.
But I realized that, they don't want me to be somebody's principal up in these counties because I'm going to tell the truth. Y'all know that movie Lean on Me with Joe Clark?
Yeah.
That would be me. That would be me.
As if you a crackhead, ain't you? Okay, that's not the part you're talking about. I know. But I know the movie. I think what you said is so important. Like, it's just something that was holding you back from doing it. I think, not to be like pushing this on anybody or what your beliefs are, but I think those little nudges are I think they're important to listen to. You know what I mean? And sometimes they don't make any sense. It's like if you put everything on paper, this all makes sense of what I should be doing. Yes. But something in me is like, no, this doesn't feel right. This isn't right. And I think over my years, like I've learned, I'm gonna just listen to my intuition. I listen to the no's, the yeses, even if it's crazy, if it don't make sense, if I can't explain it. I have to listen because it's like my little guide. You know what I mean?
And I lost that somewhere along the way.
We all do, what right?
Happened. I realized that, okay, I wasn't trusting that feeling. I kept trying to figure out, what is this feeling? No, I'm supposed to be doing this, right?
Right.
It's been on paper. And then it got to a point where it was like, no, it don't feel right. My body don't feel right. I literally felt like I was choking, like something was choking me every time I sat in a meeting. And I was like,
how long did that go on before you were like, I'm dying?
Oh man, it went on a little too long. I will be honest. I will say, honestly, I think it came to a head after COVID. What was COVID? 2020. Had my baby about 2021. So 2021 up until recently. So that's almost a good 4 years.
Wow.
But the last year was the year where I was just like at my desk crying, like, Lord, I love the kids, but what is wrong? Like I was just so emotionally hurt by what I was seeing done and the way they put so much emphasis on tests. And I was like, oh my gosh, like how do I tell these kids that it's not y'all, it's not your fault, it's not you, it's y'all are just a number to them, but I know you. And every day I had to go in the classroom and tell the kids, like, I know you. The people that are grading that test, they don't know you.
Right.
And so when you get a test back from the state or a district that may not be a passing grade for you, that doesn't determine your life. And having to explain that to students who are English language learners, who just maybe came to the country 2 years ago, like, why am I taking this test? Because you have to. But I know you don't know this. It just became all too ridiculous.
Did you think you could change anything? Is that why you say, or was it like you were stuck and I'm supposed to?
You know what? That's a great question. I believe I wanted to change. I felt like, okay, if I can get to a position, maybe I can make a greater impact. And then I started to realize, like, I don't think I can change the system for where I'm at because I will have to play their game.
Yeah.
And I can't play. And that was my biggest thing. I said, I can't take. I can't. I can no longer do this. And for a while, I felt like I didn't have enough experience or wisdom or knowledge to really speak up. Yeah. It's like got to the point where now you're sitting there like, oh, I'm a veteran at this. And it's just the same thing going round and round. I say, yeah, no, I can't do this.
I think life, tell me what you think. I think life is a game, but you have to choose what game you want to play.
Yeah.
And there's some games like, hey, I can't play this one. And that's what it sounds like in your situation. Yeah.
And so I really think, that intuition, when I started to listen to myself and trust myself, I knew that I was going to be leaving. I didn't know when.
Right.
You didn't even know how, but I knew it was coming. And what's funny is I started my podcast, Unhappy Teacher, a year ago. And it started out with, I need to vent. I think it was more of a venting session for me. It really was.
That's good, productive venting.
Yes, it became therapy for me because, like I said, where I felt like I was like kind of choking, I was able to say things and have conversations that we can't have in these meetings because they want to spin it. It's like, no, let's just be real. Let's call it what it is.
Yeah.
And so after doing that, and I felt like that was part of my therapy. And I started to really realize, okay, I think I have more power with my voice and holding a platform and holding space for people rather than maybe being in the actual school building, being a principal or leader.
Yeah. It takes a lot of courage to leave these situations, the supposed to situations. Yeah. And I'll say, I'm thinking about some situations that I was in for too long that were not serving me. And I wasn't any good in those situations. It was all, for me, it was not trusting myself. It was fear. And I'm supposed to figure this out and stay in this. And sometimes it really is a matter of, this situation is not good for me. I need to remove myself. And I read all these self-help books and all this stuff. And I'm like, no, I can make it work. No, sometimes you need to leave. And that's what they don't say. Every situation ain't for you. And I think that's important to take that lesson and learn. You know what I mean? You said stress. I was typing questions.
Yeah.
I was not like just typing anyway. But you said burnout was past stress, but you did have stress, stress coping. What am I saying?
Yeah.
Stress coping mechanisms, whatever. How did you deal with stress that wasn't burnout?
How that wasn't burnout. So before I got to the burnout part, clearly, your body starts to like tell you these things, stress. So for example, you're just feeling kind of irritable. And so with me, like I danced, I had an outlet, I had dance and me moving my body. Some people like to do yoga. Some people love the gym. I don't love the gym, but I love dancing.
Yes.
And so for me, it's like, okay, that was my space. That was my outlet.
Yeah.
And then also I enjoyed actually going out, being around people. And I noticed that changed.
Ooh, okay.
I start to have social anxiety. Me?
What?
I
can tell you that don't even go right.
Yes, I started to isolate myself, not knowing. I didn't know I was doing it until I'm like, why am I lonely? Nobody put me in the corner. Nobody said I couldn't come, but I'm doing it to myself because I'm feeling a certain type of way. I'm unaligned with myself. So I feel like, okay, if I just stay here, I don't have to be around people moping. But I really wanted to be around people.
Yeah.
And so it started to go past, I wasn't doing the things no more that I knew I needed to do. I wasn't dancing.
Wow.
I wasn't going to the gym. I wasn't doing any type of physical activity. I wasn't being around people. I wasn't writing. I wasn't doing, I was just stuck. I was stuck in my body and not knowing, I felt like I didn't know who I was.
How did you get out of that?
Oh, honestly, so many things. I will say, no, I have to say my husband. My husband, he really stayed by me through a lot. Being able to talk to him just freely, and he would be like, okay, well, let's try to go therapy. Oh, okay, well, do you want to go to the spa? Like, he didn't know. He was like, okay, let's go to church. Anything. He bought me a book. He's like, okay, well, I know she likes it. Let me buy her this book.
Yeah.
Anything he would try, and I appreciated that. And then it got to a point where I was tired of myself. I was looking at my baby. I was like, this is not who I am. I can't be this type of mother for you.
Right.
And I just got tired of myself.
That is so interesting that you said that, because when I made my biggest changes in my life, I was tired of my ish. I was really tired of my stuff. I was like, Selena, enough.
Yeah.
A tag on. But sometimes I guess you got to get pushed there, because that was the biggest to date transition in my life, is when I was like, I'm so fed up with you. We're going to have to make some major changes. And it's not easy. Well, it wasn't easy for me, but it's worth it, and but acknowledging that, and maybe like growth, you have to get uncomfortable and all that stuff. So it's pushing change. It was pushing me into this new person. Like, I don't even know who that woman was. Like, I kind of remember her, but I don't. We ain't the same. We're not the same. So I think that, like, going through those things, I hate to sound like trite, but I mean, you come out on the other side.
You do, yes. And that point, like where you said, like, I was looking in the mirror, I did not know who I was. I had this lack of self-confidence that I never had.
Right.
I was like, where is this coming from? Like, I've never lacked self-confidence, I have nervousness, but I've always kind of been confident in what I was doing or bold. And I was like a shell of myself. I was literally a shell of myself, and I just got sick and tired of it. And so it started with, I got a personal trainer. Okay. Because I was trying to go to the gym, but I was messing around.
Yeah.
And so it started with, okay, I'm going to get up at 5:30 in the morning. I'm going to meet you there. Oh, I did not like it. But I did it because I knew I had somebody waiting on me, and I did not want to be a failure. But I did it.
Accountability.
I kept doing it. And it started with that. And then I realized, like, okay, that's part of releasing some of these emotions out of my body. And I realized when I didn't do it, how I felt. So now I'm feeling good. I'm eating a little better. But I will go into work. After a few hours being there, I'm in the corner praying. God, please give me the right words to say. Please use me, because in this moment right here, I just want to walk out. So, I mean, it started, though, with me just doing something. And for me, it was the exercise.
Yes. Yeah. They say, I'm not saying what you have with depression, but they say when you're depressed, movement is the most important thing. And I heard something that said, like, get out of bed, just get out of bed. because your wheels will start, your brain will just go into a rabbit hole. And whenever I'm feeling, I'm like, okay, Selena, just go move. Yes. And when you said you weren't feeling like yourself, you weren't doing the things that made you feel like yourself, yes. Socializing and dancing. So just that small movement sounds like made a big, it was the step in the right direction,
But even to like speak about depression, I was, but I didn't realize it because it really took a heal after my son was born. So, you hear about postpartum depression, postpartum anxiety. They tell you to look out for it, but you don't know what it is until you in the middle of a party in Mexico crying, don't know why. You're like, what is wrong with me? And that's what I started to realize, like, something's not right here.
I think it's important that's why whenever I talk to someone on the show, I like to talk about, but I think it's important to talk about symptoms. And like we can Google them, but it's different to hear it from somebody. Yeah. And then also I think it takes trusting yourself, because sometimes I'm like, oh, I need to just get over it, like not trusting how I'm really feeling. And I've experienced burnout last week, and I was like, oh my God. And it like, there were signs leading up to that moment. And I just kept pushing, because we're in a society where it's
you have to push through.
Be productive, push through. You got to work hard to follow your dreams. No, not die for your dreams. Like, so I was like, you ain't going to accomplish much. I don't think so. So it ain't going to matter. So I'm like, now I know I have to listen to those cues right away before it hits the boiling point. Like, water, it starts getting a little bit of bubbles. And then as it gets hotter and hotter, it goes crazy. Yeah. And then it like, the pan absorbs it back in, and you don't burn the house, so you don't want to get to that point. So now I'm like, all right, as soon as things start bubbling, or try to even be more proactive than that, then I'm like, okay, I have to honor this. Because I will ignore things so much within myself, because I'm still not trusting some of my feelings or some of the symptoms, and just trying to put it under the rug. Well, I got to be strong.
You're a strong woman, right?
Yeah, be a strong woman. It's nonsense. I'm not that strong. I'm strong, but not to that point.
Yeah, we mask it, we hold it in. We're sitting in a room with our friends and not even being honest about how we really feel, because we don't want to be a burden or someone else, or have someone say the wrong thing. Like, well, it's not that bad compared to what so-and-so is going through.
And I can't talk about somebody else's struggle. This is what I'm going through. And another thing that creates more isolation, right? Like, you can be around people, but and there's a time and place for everybody. Every room you don't need to go in and say, like, I think I'm experiencing. But like, if these are your friends, I know for me that's like push me in a box, and like not a box, but like a like I said, best way I could say is making me feel isolated, because I wasn't vulnerable. And again, you have to be discerning with that kind of stuff. Yeah. But it's like it makes you feel like you don't have anybody, when really you do. You just gotta talk to them. So it made me feel alone at some of those times too, like by not telling them what was going on.
Yeah,
I would say be careful with that. I wanted to talk about what stood out to me in your bio. A lot of things, but the somatic practices. What is somatic practice?
So somatic practices, we're talking about releasing, energy that's kind of trapped in your body. And when you think about it, energy flows, right? Energy flows. Yeah. And sometimes we have emotions, and emotions, they're meant to, like, you feel it and then go. But a lot of times we get emotional and it's trapped inside of us. If you add another type of emotion on that, it's trapped inside of us. It never released. It went nowhere, right? We didn't exercise maybe for it to go through. We didn't let it go. We didn't, whatever it is that you need to do. And so with somatic practices, it can be breath work, taking time to examine your breath work, examine your body, how you're feeling, your mind. Yoga is a part of it, different movements. And so that is what I mean when I talk about somatic practices. And so this is something that I'm still a student in myself, as I've just come through recently using these terms. Like I said, I've always was dancing, because that was some type of movement, right? I did liturgical dance, and I'm like, oh my God, it felt so good. Right, liturgical dancing. So actually, when I moved here to the South, the Bible Belt, that's when I really got into it. And so when I was in church, it's liturgical dancing is praise dance. We do praise dance, and that's when I really felt like just the Spirit moved me, and that was and I stopped that too. See, that's how I knew I was about to go in this cycle. I wasn't doing anything.
Wow.
So yoga, I love yoga. I wasn't doing that. But part of these things, the breath work. One thing I realized when I would get like anxious, a lot of anxiety, I would actually, and this was in my class, I would turn my lights off, put them on low. I tell everybody, put this music on. I say, everybody, just you can close your eyes, you can put your head down. I don't care what you do, but you need to be quiet. And I would just have us breathe. I say, you can do it with me if you want to, but I would have to breathe. I say take those deep breaths, and it helps. It helps. And then practicing meditation. It was not easy at all, because I'm a person, my mind is going 24/7. Even when I'm asleep, my mind was going. But I realized that I need to rest. I need to give my brain a rest. So practicing meditation, having to clear those thoughts out. And it wasn't easy, but through the breath work I would take, then I would just focus on the counting, focusing on my breath, my body. And essentially now I'm not worried about, what just happened or what I'm about to eat or what my stomach feels like. I'm giving my brain a rest. So those are some of the things that I'm still, a student in.
And they fall under somatic practices. How long do you meditate?
I start with like 10 minutes.
Okay.
So I start with 10 minutes. It depends really though. So for example, this morning after dropping my son off to daycare, it was a hectic morning. I was in the car. I'm just like, okay, my day can't start like this. I got a podcast to go to. I don't want this girl to think I'm crazy. So you know what? I literally pulled over and was like, okay, I just need to breathe for a moment. And I just did that for 5 minutes. And it really calmed me down. Now, if I have more time, I can be at home. I put on a 30-minute guided meditation.
Really?
It's great. With those guided meditations though, it's more so they're kind of talking to you, kind of telling you how to filter through your mind. So it just really depends on just, your endurance and what you're up to for that day.
Do you do it every day?
I don't. I'm practicing. I really wish I could.
I like that though. I was just talking to my mom yesterday. Shout out to my mom. But I was just talking to her about not putting pressure on ourselves. Well, she brought it up, and not putting our pressure on ourselves to do these things. Well, if I don't do it every day, then I'm not good at it, or I should just throw it out the window. No, do it when you can. And congratulate yourself. I think that's what stops us from starting. Because we're like, I'm not going to do it every day. Yeah, you probably
won't
don't
do
it
like
every
a
day.
Failure.
Yeah.
We don't want to feel like a failure. Feel like, oh, about it. I'm not going to do it every day. Or what if I miss a day? Now you think you failed.
Yep. And it's not.
Yeah.
You won't do it every day if you don't start. Just do it. Yeah. I meditate too, but I fall off sometimes, and it just is what it is. But I stopped putting all that pressure on myself. This is supposed to be something that is stress free or whatever. Like I shouldn't use the thing that's to alleviate stress to cause more stress.
No, exactly. No, you're right, because I put a lot of pressure on myself too with things, and so I was just actually talking to my husband today about some things that I have to do, and I said, you know what, honestly, I said I'm just taking it day by day right now, step by step, small doses, because that is what I know I can handle. I don't want to go back into that overload, overwork Courtney. There was a time and season for that. I did that, but right now I can't. Right now it just doesn't serve me. So I know it's going to get done. Sometimes you gotta maybe to the wire, but at the same time I'm not putting pressure on myself. And when I stop putting pressure on myself, I'm like, oh, it feels kind of good. Like I didn't journal today, but you know what? Maybe I'll journal tomorrow. It's okay. It's okay. It's you. It's your life. It's your body. It's your mind.
No, it's really important to say that, because I was going to repeat what I said, but y'all already heard it. And speaking of journaling, do you use prompts or do you just go like freestyle?
Now I just freestyle.
Okay.
But I love a good prompt. I love a good prompt. I actually got into journaling and writing. It was, something therapists always say do, but you don't do what you're supposed to do, right?
No.
So it's actually a good friend. Her name is Eris, and she has the Just Right experience.
Okay.
And so I was actually, as I was coming here, she was the one that invited me to the Black Writers Weekend out here in Atlanta. And she's always been that friend where she'll be like, hey, just, join my class or join this, and she'll give me writing prompts. I'm like, I'm not a writer, Eris. But it was free writing. She taught me how to freely write.
Okay.
And so when I started practicing on my own, it just became so uplifting, because it's just my thoughts. I'm just there with my thoughts, like this is how I feel today, or I'm writing down my prayers in my journal because I don't know how to pray out loud yet.
Right.
So it was just free.
Yeah.
But anytime that I can, jump into someone's class or a session and get a good journal prompt, I enjoy that too.
Yeah. Sometimes I feel like I feel compelled to write that day, but nothing. I'm writing stuff like this, like in high school. Like today, I went to the store, like, and then I'm like, I need a prompt, and then a prompt. I used to think they were like, I like, what is a prompt? I don't know. I kind of was dismissive of them, but then when I tried it helped. It for me, anyways.
Yeah.
I'm wondering how because now it sounds like you're being more intentional with what you put on your plate and what you don't. How do you choose?
Well, that's a great question. Right now, because I am newly transitioning out of, being a classroom teacher, being in the education system for long, right now I'm focusing on myself and my family. And what that looks like is like, okay, you've neglected this home for so long. It's time to declutter, throw stuff out. But at the same time, I'm working on my own brand, Courtney Sillah, my intuitive counseling, coaching, and my podcast. Okay. So that's it right now.
Okay.
That's it. I mean, I can't say if, somebody, was to propose an idea to me, maybe, but right now I'm not coming up with anything else if it does not align with what I'm doing and makes me feel good. So for example, the journal that I created a journal over the summer. It started out with me writing and I'm just like, I'm just coming up with prompts and I'm just writing for myself. And then it was like, you know what? I can actually like put this out on the market, maybe to help other people because I was trying to explore what was holding me back. I felt like I had this voice that I never used. And so that's where the title came from, the voice I never used, because I'm like, man, if people just actually kind of sit down and talk to me and pick my brain, I got a lot of stuff to say. But I had to get down deep and try to figure out what's holding you back from saying it. Why are you being so quiet and kind of hidden? And so that was where that journal came from.
Wow. Okay.
And then recently, I just wrote an ebook, which was How to Reset Your Mind. Because with everything that I'm doing, I know it starts with your mental.
Yeah.
I have to get out of bed, even though I'm sick, right? Okay. I have to keep working, even though I don't feel like it. I have to declutter this house. Like, I have to retrain my mind. And then honestly, with everything that's going on in America, we know the shifts in energies, everything. January took us through it. Let's just say that. I was like, social media made me sick. Every time I got on social media. And so I was like, you know what? You cannot fall off right now, Courtney.
Right.
You cannot. Like, you have so much you want to do. How do you reset your mind? And so that is when I started writing. How to reset your mind. Going through the tools I know what to do. Quieting the chaos in my mind. How do we do that? Meditate. And then finding your tribe. Finding a community.
Support system is so important. Yes. And writing is very healing. So I know that like you writing that book is healing you, and then it's going to help other people. I talk about this proverb all the time on the show, and I don't know how to say it. But it's like, when you give somebody a rose, the scent stays on you. Okay. So it sounds much better than that, but but I'm paraphrasing. Yeah. But so you like that's a cyclical. Am I saying it's like the thing
the
of
cycle?
Like, you writing it and then giving it is healing, and then it's coming back. You know what I mean?
And so that's what a lot of stuff I do. A lot of things I put out there is me trying to like heal myself or practices that I've done that I'm like, hey, I'm just going to put it out there. Yeah. And it may help someone. It may not be for you. Everything's not for you. Right. But it may be for someone. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm just being honest and transparent with myself, what I'm going through, what worked, what didn't work, what I'm trying, and I'm just sharing it with other people.
That's why we do the show, because the same reason, because I want to help people, but we save lives, y'all. That's my new little catchphrase. I wanted to ask you about the intuitive, I can't find it in your bio, but you just said it. The
intuitive counseling and coaching.
Yes.
Yes.
What is that? How do you do it?
Right. And so, this goes, it's funny because as I'm, putting myself out there more and saying what I'm doing, it's like, you want to put words that make people feel comfortable in front of it. So, some people could say, oh, like you're a spiritual counselor or you're a life coach, but when we think about, when we talk about intuitive counseling or intuitive coaching, I'm just guiding people to use their intuition. Remember that intuition we talked about earlier that we sometimes ignore?
Yes.
And so that is simply what I'm doing. I'm holding space for people. I'm holding space for people to use what's already within their body, unlock that energy, unlock that toxicity, and get some clarity and peace on whatever it is that you may be facing. Sometimes it goes back to trauma wounds, trauma that you may have had as a child that we just brushed off because we're trying to just live our best adult lives. But when we start talking about, work and, this is how I am at work or this was happening, you start to peel back layers and realize that, I'm not speaking up because as a child, there was this happening in my household and I've had to be quiet. Yeah. So you got to get through, we got to get deep.
How do you unlock it? Do you do it by yourself? Like if I came to you for a session, do they come for sessions?
Yeah, so we can do it virtually or in person. And what it starts with is talk. We're talking. I will say, let me back up, an openness. So anytime someone says, hey, I want to talk, I want a session, that means you're ready. You're ready for something because, right, you're tired of what was happening. And you may not know the exact thing, but we'll just start like, hey, what is it that you're going through? What is it that you want to work on, right? So when you think about it, similar to therapy, instead I am, coaching you through breath work. I'm coaching you through visualization. I may say, hey, let's do a guided meditation practice. Let's close our eyes and just envision what life would be like if you did not feel that anxiety anymore. Envision what life would be like if you were able to say what you want to say. So I'm going through these practices with you at the time.
And your voice is helpful because your voice is very soothing. I was about to go into I was like, what? Let me go to
to go. But I go wherever you want it to go. And then, it's just, again, feeling safe to go deeper. Sometimes you don't want to go deep. We stay surface.
Yeah.
And we got to go deeper. Yeah.
It's
uncomfortable, but you'll get there. And a lot of times, and that's where the intuition comes from. You'll know what it is when it hits. You'll be like, shoot, man, I got daddy issues. Like, I thought that I passed that already. And then it comes up again.
Yeah.
And then, so it's different practices to kind of help us release what's been pent up inside.
Yeah. Do you think, because I've been going back and forth about this in my mind, like when you bring up something, like say, for instance, you found out you had daddy issues, does that go away or do you learn how to manage it?
Bingo. And so, I don't think trauma doesn't just disappear.
Right.
Because then there's things that happen that trigger you.
Yeah.
And then you react or you have a memory. You're like, what just happened? So trauma doesn't just disappear and go away.
Right.
No, what happens is you do learn how to show up in the world with that trauma now. So now you're not triggered or reacting in a negative way. You're like, oh, okay, this was happening. All right, now I know how to kind of cope or deal with it.
Right. I think that is such an important part. I said this before on the show, but because we think like I used to think this was my my immature spiritual time or whatever of like, I'll read a book and I'm feeling good and I think I'm good.
Right.
And then the thing comes back and like, no, you're not. Shut up. What happened? I did the work. Exactly. But it's just like I would say showers or going to the gym. You can't do that stuff one time. Yeah. You got to do it. It's an exercise and a practice. And that's what I've learned in my life of just like, there's not this one day you're going to wake up good. Yeah. You could wake up good that day, but then another day, I think it's learning to cope with it and be a decent human in the world and represent yourself.
But in knowing yourself, when you have knowledge of yourself, you know when, okay, this is not a healthy situation or I'm about to tick. You start to just know yourself so well.
Pay attention.
Yeah. Knowledge of self.
It's so important. Recently, I went into I heard stuff that sticks with you. I swear it was like 20 years ago. I heard this preacher say, this was before self-help and stuff was like so popular and so easy to access. But he said, sometimes you're going to have to go in the bathroom and plug back in to God or whoever. He said God, but whatever is bigger, whatever you use. And I remember I was just recently on a set and I was like, somebody asked me something and I remember I'm like, just give me a second because I felt myself about to snap because it was so overwhelmed. There was so much going on. I was just done. And that came in my brain what that guy said 20 years, I don't want to say guy, but the preacher said 20 years ago. And I went in the bathroom. I didn't think it was going to work. I went in the bathroom for like 5 minutes and I just talked to myself. I was like, Selena, we got to do this. Da, 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 da. This person didn't do anything to you. Don't take this out on them. You want to have everybody have a good experience. You want to represent yourself. Like the whole thing. And I was like, all right, God, tell me when I can go back outside.
Now imagine if everybody did that. How many, there'll be less arguments, less relationships ruined if everybody just went back into the bathroom and plugged themselves in.
Back in.
My dad, and he would get this from my grandmother, he would say, go into your prayer closet. When the world becomes too much, or you feel like you're about to snap, you feel like you're about to have that breakdown, go into your prayer closet. He'll say, just stop. Like my dad is he is like, just stop. Like, don't go. Don't do that. Turn it off. Like, who is telling you got to do that?
Right.
He's like, you are in control of yourself. Now, if that means you need to just go into the bathroom plug or go into your prayer closet, do that. Bring yourself back.
Yeah.
No, you're right.
Yeah. And there's like so many levels, and I know we can't always go we don't always have 5 minutes to go. But the more you do that, I think it'll be like the easier you can get to it and spot it and just like shift.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, I don't know what happens when this year started, or maybe it's my age, I don't know, but something clicked and I was like, I'm gonna say whatever I need to say. Yeah. So I'm like, stop. Yeah. I need to say it. That's it. I'm sorry.
And thinking about that, like, what is wrong with, and we think, what is wrong with that? If like we're in a meeting and it's getting too hot and heavy or something, what's wrong with saying, hey, I just need 5 minutes and I will be right back.
Yeah.
Because you got to put yourself together. And if they say no, like, oh, do you really want to know what's about to come out of my mouth?
To trust me. You want the 5 minutes.
Yeah. We have to take control back of ourselves.
Yeah. And get in that space. But, and I, again, talking about grace, I don't want to leave you on or the audience like I'm some perfect person who always got to figure it out. Because I want, just like we said with the skipping days and stuff, I still fuss somebody out in traffic. I might still cuss. I still do all the bad things. I don't even want to judge it legally.
Oh, you got road rage?
I mean, sometimes, but I have pedestrian rage more than road rage because I'm a little lady, and then these cars are like, I'm a really rule follower because I know I'm up against a 3,000 pound machine or whatever, and so I stop at the things. I go when the little light says to go, and then cars still come out of nowhere. I'm like, what are you doing? Like you almost literally almost to kill me. So that I get very serious about because I'm like, you could hurt somebody, but I'm working on it. I'm working on it. It's okay. It'll be fine. Do you have people who come to you who you won't work with?
That's a great question. I actually spoke about that with my mentor. Like, it's like, okay, what are your boundaries? That's the thing. Like, what are your boundaries? So, and being, objective, it's like, okay, you may listen to someone and what you can or cannot handle, right? It's like, okay, this person wants to talk about domestic abuse. That might be a little bit too close to me. It may trigger me. So therefore, hey, I may not be the best person to talk to, but hey, I can refer you to this person. Addiction, if that may be too close. So you have your boundaries. And so for me, I don't have like this list, of things of like, hey, this I'm not going to work with that. But it's like I'll know when I know because I'm also not here trying to save the world at this point. I'm not trying to save everyone. So if I know that, hey, this sounds like something I'm uncomfortable with, it's making me uncomfortable and it's triggering me, then maybe this is not we're not a good fit.
And that's good.
We're not a good fit.
That's good. Then they can get the person that is a better fit.
Because I'm not going to lie to you and sit there in a session and the whole time I'm like, ooh, no, we're not a good match. And that's okay. Like, I want you to get the help you need and I'm not the right person.
Right. Are there people who have come to you have been like, oh, I'm ready for help, but they're so closed off you can't do anything with them?
Yeah,
really?
that happens. And I'll continue to work with them, but this is where I have to become honest. Like, hey, are you putting in the work? Do you feel like you're putting in 100%? Do you feel like you're ready to change or whatever? And so that's when you have to explore. But they may just stop. They say, hey, I want to do this program. I want to be a part of it, and you don't show up. And
I love that you said that because I've gotten to a point where I'm too no nonsense. I'm like, look, you ain't ready. You're not talking. I gotta go. But you're like, do you think?
Right. I'm asking, like, do you think that you're doing the work? And it's like, hey,
and
okay. And if you know you're, and then it's like, okay, well, do you, and then it goes to this. So now we're in like, okay, umpteen session, right? And it's like, hey, do you feel as if you're making progress? Do you think that you are, getting your expectation and meeting your goals?
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes people longer to open up.
Right.
I get that 100%.
Yeah.
But then you can tell when it's like, oh, okay, you're not really here. But then you're wasting your time.
Yeah.
You're wasting your time. You're wasting your healing.
Yeah.
And so it just goes back to, hey, well, what did you come? What do you expect? What did you want to work on? Do you feel like we're making that progress? What's stopping us from making that progress?
Yeah.
What's stopping you from making that progress? That's when you gotta get real with yourself, right?
Right. Where do you get those patience from?
I don't know. I really believe this is something that I was just naturally born with, and that's kind of why I went into intuitive counseling coaching, because I was like, well, let's put a name to it. All my life, I've always just been that kind of the nucleus of my family, where if there was confrontation, anyone could come and talk to me. I was not non-judgmental. Yeah. So even my friends, they could just talk to me, and so I was like, hey, I already do that. I already do that in everyday life. Right. So now let me just gain the skills and the tools so I can actually do it for real.
Yeah, I know you have to be confidential, but can you share like the biggest success story for you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest success story I could kind of say myself right now.
Good answer.
I really would say myself, only because I just haven't had that where it's like, oh, somebody was just, on the brink of this and now they're here, But I would just look at myself, because I know I was on the brink of this and now I'm here.
Right.
But it took work. It takes work. And there's some days where I'm not perfect. I fall off. I fall off, and then it's like, I got to snap back into it. And one thing that I'm doing different than I didn't do before was I'm reaching out now to that community. I know that I have support. I've always had support, but now I'm like, hey, let me dial up so-and-so. Let me just kind of talk to you. Yeah. I have that support now. And so, I'm using that support now because it was always there.
Right.
And so that's one thing that's different for me, where I'm not just waddling it in alone. If I feel like, hey, today I just want to talk to you about what's going on, or I'm feeling like this, it could be something minute. And just talking to someone feels great about it.
Yeah. Yeah. When do you know to reach out, or when this is something that I need to deal with myself?
Well, in my experience, I felt, so I'll tell you this story. I was overwhelmed. My son was probably like doing something crazy. He's a toddler, 2-3 years old, around that time, right? He's doing something, and like me, I got overstimulated. I probably coming from work, probably had this going, TV go, overstimulated. I was like, I just went upstairs to my room, in the closet, closed the closet, and just sat there and cried. And I cried and cried and cried. And when I start thinking about the tools, the breath wasn't coming. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm hyperventilating. The breath is not coming. Oh, I can't meditate. If I can't even calm down my breathing, and it's just when you get to that point where you feel like you're in so much pain, you don't have to go through that by yourself. Call someone. And that's when I was like, oh, I'm gonna call this person. And then now if that person don't answer, don't think, oh, it's the end of the world, they didn't answer for me. Nope, call the next person. Call the next person. Because that's when, if you know when to call somebody, if you ever feel like, I can't do this. When you tell yourself, I can't do this, that is when you're at the point of like, you don't got to do it alone. We weren't meant to do life alone, period.
No, we were not. I remember one day I called 3. I only trust like 2 or 3 people. And I think I called all 3 and none of them answered. And then I was like, I went for a walk and I was like, God, what is going on? Like, and it, like, God helped me or something. Like, my brain,
you know what I mean? So what happens too sometimes is like, where are the people at, right? And then sometimes when no one's answering, that's when God's like, I'm right here.
Yeah,
I'm what you need.
Right.
I'm what you need. Tap into me. I'm your source.
Yeah.
And you're like, you know what? You're right. Let me just pray to you. And that's what happens. You just start,
so true.
The words start coming out, whatever it is that you need to do, because it's like, I need something and I can't physically, tangibly hold on to somebody right now. Then you need to talk to God.
Yeah. And I think it comes in all different, like, because I try to be open to people who don't believe in God. So whatever you believe in, that feeling or that answer, sometimes I feel like it knows, she ain't gonna hear it from me today. So let me send her this person. Sometimes like these people are not gonna tell you what you need to hear. So I'm here. And I think it goes back to, even in those tough moments, trusting that things are working out for your highest good. And I try to believe that all the time. And it's not always easy, but like, okay, all right, this is working out for me for a reason. I need this to happen however it's happening, because so much is out of our control. So if you did what you could control, calling the people, and you can't control them answering, then it's not meant for you to talk to them in that moment. And that's you got to trust that too. So it's like, okay, fine, all right, well, God, you better say, I'm not trying to be rude or anything, but can you say something right now? Because I'm going through it.
Yeah, and that's when you have to have like a connection, some type of spiritual connection, because right then when you like, oh, where are my friends at? But don't blame it on your friends. Your friends are your friends, and they going through their own lives. Right. It's not their fault. Right. But then that's when it comes to, again, that knowledge of self and understanding what your spirit needs.
Yeah. That is so important. How long have you been a coach?
Only for a year, honestly.
Yeah. And you really enjoy this.
I do, because like I said, I was doing it with not in a professional with a title on it anyway. That's just who I've been for my family and friends who know me. Right. So then it turned to, all right, and I was doing it in the classroom. I was doing the classroom every single day, whether it's for my peers, my coworkers, or the students, every single day. And so it became a thing of, I can put a title to this. And okay, now this is where I want to shift my work to.
Yeah. Where's your boundary between this, I'm going to monetize something. I'm not saying that's why you're doing it, but I'm going to turn this into, because even if it's not about the money, but if you turn something into a career, it takes on a different form.
Yes.
So where do you draw the line where this is something I enjoy and I'm going to just keep it as something I enjoy, or now I'm going to turn this into part of my career?
Yes. And that is something that I have to work on personally, as far as like just my understanding with money, because if I love it, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do it. Right.
Yeah.
But then it's like, okay, this is also a business. So I have to respect myself and my practice enough to be like, hey, you have to charge for this service. And my good friend taught me that, where, she'd be like, hey, Courtney, I'm struggling with this. Can you help me with this? And I'm just like, yeah, I'll do it. She's like, well, how much do you charge? I'm like, I'll just do it for you. She said, no, I'm gonna give you something. And so it kind of started like that all the time, where I was trying to help her. She was like, no, I'm giving you something. And it taught me, you need to know your worth, girl. You need to know your worth. And so I told myself, I'm going to stop right there. Now there's no more freebies and this and that, because this is a practice that I am serious about. And if I want you to take me serious about my practice, then there's a service fee for it.
Yeah, I love that. I didn't think about it like that at all.
I had to really have a conversation with myself, like, girl, what is it that you just feel like
you're just giving everything away for free in this world?
Yeah, and then it's like, girl, you got bills to pay. You still live in this world.
Yes.
Right? Yes. Electricity, mouths to feed. And so it's like, okay, no, let's be realistic. Especially stepping out, being a full-time entrepreneur now, that shifted it even more. Where it's like, okay, now I really can't play about this.
Yeah. Okay, I want to talk about your podcast, the Unhappy Teacher Podcast. Are you going to keep that name? Because now you're not a teacher.
I know, and this is so funny. You ask, right? But you know what? I'm going to be a forever educator. I think that's just part of who I am. And so it's funny because I'm actually in the midst of rebranding right now. I'm a teacher, and I kept saying, "Am I going to keep the name?" I'm like, "Yes, I'm going to keep the name because, yes, I'm still that unhappy teacher in the sense of I'm unhappy with the education system. But, now I want to open up the podcast to not just speaking to teachers and educators, but to really talking to everyone, from actors, influencers, thought leaders, just about life's lessons, about rebuilding and rethinking the classroom, because not everything, we're going to learn within those four walls of an education classroom. but like what can learning look like, especially nowadays, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so I really want to talk to people and open up, expand it from teachers,
Mm-hmm.
to know about their life, what they've
Mm-hmm.
gone through, like their greatest life's lessons. And you know, just as far as where we're going as a future.
Yeah, I love.
Yeah.
So, is it every week? When does it come out?
So we're starting our new season right
Okay.
now. So I definitely think it'll be launching like probably by the end of March. But we're
Okay.
going to be doing bi-weekly. So every 2 weeks
Bi-weekly.
there'll be an
That's
episode.
mine. That's how I do. Bi-weekly. I'm telling you, I
Yeah.
feel like when you just
No
start
pressure on
out,
yourself.
I used to do weekly. Oh my
Yeah.
God. And I had like 4 other jobs. No, I was going nuts. So well, I'm bi-weekly until I get some more help. Then yeah, I love. So you said in March.
Yes.
Okay.
Because I'm like, where are we at right now? This is like February.
Yeah.
And just think again, that no pressure, because like
Right.
although you know you're interviewing people, you know how
Mhm.
a podcast goes. You go in, you edit, do the stuff. You are not trying to rush yourself and start panicking yourself.
Right.
You release these episodes, and now, oh my God, I done told people I'm gonna put stuff out weekly. I don't have nothing left. So thankfully, you know, my husband is, you know, my director, my producer, everything.
Yeah.
He's really just helping me with that part. Like, all right,
Yeah.
I just gotta show up.
Is it it's interview based?
Yes.
Okay. And it's shot in Atlanta?
Yes.
Okay. And where is it gonna be? What platforms?
So it's on YouTube.
Okay.
It's on YouTube, also on Spotify.
Okay.
And my website. So my website, CourtneySillah.com, which is also, you can find on unhappyteacher.com.
Okay.
You'll find it there as well.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. All right. We will be on some of the same platforms. So you can watch Courtney's show and then go over to my show and then go back to her next show. You can just watch us. These are the people you just watch. Yeah. Just watch us. I'm excited for that. It sounds like a really dope concept of life lessons.
Yes.
Oh, that's my jam right there. Okay. I think, did we cover, I have to ask you, this is the whole show. What is your definition of success?
Oh, my definition of success. Success is what you make it. Success is when you feel in your heart, in your mind, your body, your spirit, and spirit, I would say balanced and complete. That would be my definition of success.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. I got it. Received. You have a very calming, what is it? Vibe? Ooh. I don't know what I'm saying. But no, you know what I mean.
Well, that's because I meditated this morning. I told you I took 5 minutes to get myself together before I came.
Okay. It works. Your meditation works. Some of my meditations don't work. It's fine. It's fine. People who would like to follow in your footsteps, what is one piece of advice you would give them?
Oh, I would say first, do the work on yourself. Do not think that you can come in and be like, I'm going to save the day. I'm going to be the hero without doing work on yourself. I highly, highly, highly suggest anyone or everyone, I believe, that they should have some type of therapy or counseling at least once in their lifetime. So I would say anybody that wants to do the type of work that I'm doing, or honestly, anything that you're trying to do, especially if you're doing entrepreneurship, you need to start understanding yourself first. Get knowledge of yourself, your triggers, and heal those wounds. Start to heal those wounds a little bit, and you'll start to see the floodgates open. Just even in the way that you move, the way that you do your work, the way that you show up in life is going to be different.
Yeah, I love that. That's like if you're a personal trainer, you gotta be in shape. Because if you never got in shape before, how you gonna teach me how to get in shape?
You gotta practice.
How you gonna show me? Yeah. You never did it, and you won't understand how much work goes into it if you don't do the work yourself.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Well, I could talk to you forever, but I think we're coming up on time. Do you have anything else that you want to say or share before we start closing out?
I just want to say, keep trusting yourself. Keep trusting yourself, girl, because you have so much going on, but you have a beautiful spirit. And whatever called you here or brought you here to this space, no, it was not for no reason. Okay. You don't see the end yet. Right. But you're going to get there.
Okay. Do you feel that?
I feel that from you. Yeah, you're going to get there. You don't know what it is yet. You may have your own idea and understanding of what it's going to be, but just trust life and just go with it. Go with it. Don't fight it.
Okay.
Don't fight it.
Okay. No, I really appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Okay. I need to hear something because, it's a tricky road.
Yeah.
Navigating this.
But look, now you've found your tribe and community, so hit me up. We're going to do some guided meditation and yoga.
Yes. Please.
And the weather's getting nice. You can walk outside. I'm an outdoor person.
I know. So it's 70 degrees, y'all. Oh, I think it was 70 today.
I know, but don't let it fool you. Who knows?
Next week. Yeah. We only got like one more month and we should be in the clear.
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to close this out. Thank you, Courtney Sillah. Did I say it?
Yes.
Thank you, Courtney Sillah, for sharing your time with me and inspiring listeners to redefine success for themselves. You can find out more about Courtney on...
so my website, CourtneySillah.com. That's SILLAH. You can also follow me on social media at I am Court Sillah.
And check the show notes out. There will be links to Courtney's website as well. Thank you, listeners, for tuning in. If you made it this far, thank you. And I want to correct, it wasn't you a crackhead or lean on me. I was thinking that. It's like, you smoke crack, don't you? So I got the quote right. Okay. I don't want nobody like, she don't know what she's talking about her trivia. I do know. I messed it up. I messed up my line. Anyway, thank y'all for listening. Again, I ask that you subscribe to the You Plus Happy YouTube channel, like, share this episode. It really helps the show grow, y'all. And you can follow me on Instagram at Selena_Marche or the show at You Plus Happy. That was very quick. So check the show notes. And I asked the guests to say the tagline, which is long. We'll show you our definition of success if you show us yours. You look like Kerry Washington. Did anybody ever tell you that?
Kerry? No, not
just
Kerry.
Now. Maybe it was the angle in the
I'm trying to study what you said, the tagline. I'm like, oh man, I might get it wrong.
Okay, we'll show you our definition of success if you show us yours.
Okay, I got that.
Okay.
We'll show you our definition of success if you show us yours.
Yes, thank you.